Hi. I really don't have a clue what I have to say, if anything. That didn't used to bother me. For a while I got pretty good at just pushing record and letting it flow. But lately it seems each time before I push the button, I spend a minute looking to see if I know anything, if I have any idea what's going to be said, and maybe feeling a little discomfort at that, at the not knowing. I don't know what that's about. Something is shifting, something is changing, but then isn't that always the case? I mean, these days we're living through, mankind's been here on this planet for, at a minimum, hundreds of thousands of years. I don't know, maybe millions. A very long time. The Andromedans trace it back. They can tell you about Lemuria and Atlantis, and how Lemuria was actually a joint venture, if you will, between a number of alien, what we would call alien races, getting together for a joint venture that did well for some tens of thousands of years. But I guess that's not so long in cosmic history terms. I think we've got to keep disidentifying from the form that we wear. If we want to be one with truth, then it is what it is an important phrase and concept. It is what it is, and what it is would be truth. And so I know that there are a great many of us who have a deep devotion and loyalty to truth, capital T, not relative truth, not relative reality, if you will, but we'll lay it all on the line in favor of truth, because what you give up to draw close to truth is only unreality and illusion anyway. And so though we might place a temporary or a temporal attachment to it, belief in it, when we learn it's untrue, it's not so easy to let go. This devotion to truth flows at very deep levels of our being. And it's nice to know as well, something that the masters have told us down through all recorded history that we have, and that's that they come to remind us that deep within we know these things anyway. We already are that. It's just that the memory is faded for whatever the reasons are. And so that's why we call it waking up. We're not discovering anything that's new, really. And so we can say that on the one hand, and that it's true. And on the other hand, this is a time unlike any other time, I believe, that's been here on this planet. The current situation and the current acceleration of energy, the raising up of the vibrations, the frequencies, it's just spiraling upward and going faster and faster and faster. It reminds me of how spooked the scientists were when they were looking at the redshift. Is it also called the Doppler Effect? I'm not exactly sure, but when and maybe I'm off base here, but the cosmos, the universe, is expanding. Let's just look at it in terms of the galaxy. We know that everything's expanding outward. And so we have this theory of the Big Bang, where everything was inward, everything was together, and then it blew up and blew out somehow. And everything is supposedly going along on that momentum. Well, when you go bowling and you throw the ball down the lane, it goes fast for a while and then it slows down, and we would expect that based on the physics that we know, have recorded, and understand. And it's not been so very long since scientists discovered that, oh my God, things aren't slowing down at all. They're going faster and faster. And so that throws quite a monkey wrench into current ideas about how things are put together and how they work. And how could it be otherwise when the whole basis for science is that things are solid, and there's no concept that reality is or could be a hologram type thing, an illusion of sorts. And so anytime you find problems in your foundation, there's really no sense looking at the rest of what's been built, because if it's built on something that's faulty, then the whole thing's no good. This is one of the neat things about the work of Nassim Haramein, is how he takes a look at basic assumptions about what the dimensions are and what the underlying assumptions are within science, and that are accepted as fact, and everything else is built on top of them. And he pokes beautiful, galaxy-wide holes in a number of them. And it's a real delight for the open-minded, when you're a scientist and you're invested in the whole system, and especially if you've got any creds and any gold stars to your name and reputation and all that, that's a real shark pool. And that's a horse of a different color. And I can empathize with people who get locked into that, get locked into towing the party line, so to speak, and preserving their reputation. And so not being adventurous, not really exploring, not really being true to truth. And that's the reality that we find not just in science, but everywhere. In science, in education, in politics, in religion, in technology, and what's been hidden and what's been revealed. All of it is, it's a mess. And it's easy for me to see, because unlike the scientist who's all locked into all of that and most likely thinks he's his body too, or his body-mind, I'm perhaps one of the most detached people on earth from all of those things. And so that's why it's easier for me to see things. There's nothing great about me for being able to see this. It's a function of perspective and where I'm looking at things from. And so that's one reason I say, we know that we're one. We know even in quantum physics, quantum entanglement, we know interesting things at atomic and subatomic levels about the oneness of all life. And so each person is also an EYE, an eye, or a perspective on life. And, we need one another. We're complete as a whole. As we join up, as we link up, no one has a monopoly on truth. There's not one perspective from which all truth can be seen. I don't know if there's one perspective from which one truth can be thoroughly seen, you know.